Hey, welcome again to the Next Gen Matters podcast, a show for ministry leaders seeking to move beyond overwhelm and move into leading with clarity, confidence, and consistency. Rich Brown here, and I am with my dear friend, Dakota Gregg, up at his church here in Spotswood Baptist Church in Fredericksburg, Virginia. Dakota, thanks for letting me in your studio.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm glad that you're here. It's a studio that our entire church gets to use. It's pretty cool. We've had several different podcasts kind of come in and out and over the years that we've done.
Nice.
It's been a good tool.
Yeah, I get to spend the weekend with the middle school students as I'm being allowed to speak. As I'm sharing out of John 15 of what it means to abide in Christ with middle schoolers, and I love it. So now you've been here how many years?
So this May actually will be 7 years for me. So it's my first full cycle, which means that if you aren't in the mix of student stuff, that means that nobody that is in our student ministry has known anything but Dakota Gregg being at Spotswood as far as student ministry goes. So our current 12th graders were 6th graders when I got here.
Amazing. And that's not including your internship.
Correct.
Because did you do 2 years of internship?
Yeah. So
in
summers? 2014 and 15, I was here. Well, I actually did a full year in addition to 2 summers.
Like a residence.
Yeah. So
nice.
I was here for a little while.
So you've been in this loop for, let's say, about 10 years.
About 10 years, yeah.
That's beautiful, beautiful.
Yep.
I got to do y'all's wedding.
That is true. I married Haley. She's awesome. She's way better at everything than me and way smarter in all ways. And we together have 3 kids. We have Crosby, who is 6. Hudson just turned 4. And Ilsa is almost 11 months. So
wow,
it's a party.
I haven't met Ilsa yet.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She was in the womb last time I saw you and your wife. She was very much ready to make her entrance.
And she did.
Because it was last year. We're shooting this in the middle of March. And it was last year at this time, I was up in the same town doing a spiritual emphasis week. Thanks to your invitation, by the way, at Fredericksburg Christian School. And we got to hang out, get some good old Italian food downtown Fredericksburg.
That's right.
Which is adorable. It's not a little town anymore. It's a small city.
It is not a little town.
It's actually considered now part of Northern Virginia.
Yeah, because as soon as the express lanes got down here, everything changed.
Oh, yeah, the traffic's nuts already.
Yep.
So living in Lynchburg, Virginia, when people complain about the traffic, I'm like, you guys need to get out more.
That's why I bought a farm and moved about 15 minutes out.
Yes. And if you're a history nerd like moi, my second great gramp spent a weekend or two where Dakota lives now. Back in the day of the Battle of Chancellorsville. Actually, I did some scoping around online, and my gramps, his first corps was right near your house now.
Really?
Crazy.
That is crazy.
Yes.
That's
So anyway, we're going to talk about history this whole time. No, we're not. This is the NGM History Podcast. Anyway, Dakota, we met, oh my goodness, what was your freshman year? 09, 10?
12.
12.
Yeah.
Well, that's when we met.
Because I transferred in. So
yeah, your first year with us in the youth program. And you took my intro youth class, and you probably got sick of me. You had me so many times.
I did have you a lot.
You did. He said that with a smile on his face. As he rolled his eyes. No, seriously, it was fun because, it's just who I am. I was never going to be the instructor, just see you in the classroom.
Yeah.
I mean, you were at my house so many times with our gathering of our college students, but also even helped me with some, projects, because you love projects, and you are the master chef when it comes to.
I do like to cook.
Yeah, he does. He would do his Dakota Gregg special of the week was his homemade mac and cheese.
The macaroni and cheese.
So we'd have our youth connect meetings, we call them, at our house. We get 40, 50, sometimes up to 100 students, youth ministry students, come to our home back in my time at teaching in the university. And Dakota would bring tons of mac and cheese, and he didn't have to take any home. It was always gone.
Gone.
Anyway, hey, we're looking at these 5 W's we've been processing with, and in episode 17, I'll walk through my flyover of all 5 of them. And we've been also the last few weeks journeying through by bringing in different ministry experts and talking about one of those W's, one of those, let's say, focuses or elements of ministry that they're doing well, that they're seeing God really produce fruit in. And Dakota, his heartbeat and his passion is the last of the 5 W's, which is work. So Dakota, let's go back. You inherited a group, you said 7 years ago, but specifically stepping into the high school, because you are the next gen pastor here.
Yeah. So
right?
my title is pastor of student ministries, but I do function in overseeing all of our next gen stuff. Correct.
So overview, everything as far as student ministry, next gen ministries,
but I focus in high
focused
school.
attention is high school. Exactly. And a lot of our listeners possibly would have that same hat that they wear as well. Very, very common. I mean, I did, back in my day, but anyway.
They called it a family pastor back then.
No, it was just, we went from being the youth pastor to student pastor in the 90s. Kind of like we grew up, we became student pastors. No longer, I'm the youth pastor. Anyway, so you inherit this ministry. And by the way, your predecessors are dear friends of mine, excellent at what they did, what they were doing. So I'd say because I've been familiar with the church for probably 15 to 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And the car was already going well down the I-5 or down the I-95 kind of thing. I say 5 for the West Coasters and I-95 for us here in the East Coast. But the car was already going well. But when you stepped in, not to be the contrarian, but to actually continue on, and yet you've developed even deeper when it comes to the ministry component, the work component of these 5 Ws. So we want to talk about that now. What are you doing now? Let's start with a small picture and then take us to the big picture, because you're doing some big picture, some 30,000 foot view, some really incredibly deep things in ministry as far as having the students own the ministry. But let's take it on a smaller scale. How have you helped create an attitude, create a culture of, we are here to be the hands and feet of Jesus?
Yeah, so just some history here of our student ministry. Yeah, there were 2 guys previous to me in the high school position, Rick, who you know really well, and then another person that filled the role. And the person between me and Rick did not necessarily do things great. Really bad in leaving. There was a really big, difficult time in Spotswood's history. And so when I actually got here in 2019 as the high school pastor at the time, the student ministry that I knew as an intern that was 150 high schoolers was down to about 20. So I was just blown away, and coming in having to go, okay, what happened? How do we make adjustments? And to kind of lean into your question, but also with that caveat of understanding where we came from.
Dakota, I apologize. I forgot about that.
Oh yeah.
That's huge. That's a huge part of the story.
It was big because
I forgot about that.
I came in anticipating what I had left as an intern. But then when it was different, I had to kind of change my frame a little bit.
That car was going well down the highway.
Yeah.
That's what I remember.
Well, and then, we started shifting to, because one of the things that has been really pressed into me over the years by other mentors, is being a pastor is not about being the guy. Okay. One of the things that I would say is if you want a ministry that will last, it can't be about you. It just can't. What we've seen for so many years and in different contexts, and maybe you're listening and you're kind of struggling with this, that you've built your ministry around you as a personality and you kind of do everything. You're the one who does all the elements of everything. I've been there, done that. It doesn't work. And
sometimes we're forced to, because we just don't have
the support,
the resources, people to help, but and you can't, there's a cap.
Yeah.
There's only so much you can do.
To say it super straightforward, but as kind as I can and as loving as I can, because we're all figuring it out. And nothing that I say today is going to be me saying, I've got it figured out. This is the best way to do anything. I'm learning just like everybody else, and we're on this train together. But I would say, if you're in the boat of it being about you and you're doing everything, stop. Figure out how to change that, because we're not called to do it all. We're called to equip the saints for the work of the ministry. So if you're looking at your ministry going, I'm the one doing all the work all the time and I'm burning out and I'm struggling, you've got your sustainable cohort, which I've been through, which is great. And that's helpful.
But I'll take the plug. Let's go.
Yeah. If you're in the process of feeling like I'm responsible for every element, you need to take a check on what you're doing, because you're doing something wrong. Because your job is to equip the saints for the work of the ministry, not for you as the pastor to do all the work of the ministry.
So let me jump in a little bit on that. That is, we're looking at the student side of things. Really, there's even that first step, which is develop the team around you.
Correct.
And that's where you're going, because I said the phrase, there's a cap. There's only so much you can do, But even more than that, Dakota, is like there's a cap on how big numbers wise, impact. When I say numbers, I'm talking about impact, not just metrics.
Yep.
There's a certain there are only so many students will come and be part of your ministry if it's all about you. It just caps. It just does. Have you seen that?
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the things that I'm very thankful for our volunteer team here at Spotswood. I mean, it's unbelievable. Because there's a few of my volunteers that have been here since I was an intern and even before. Bill is one of our Connect group leaders. He's been serving in student ministry as a volunteer for 31 years.
I met him
here
last year.
He also served when he was in Texas for years. So he's been doing student ministry longer than I've been alive. And he's been consistent and caring and invest greatly. And then we've got the Colemans who their oldest daughter is graduating this year, and they've been serving in student ministry since before she was born. They didn't use the excuse of we've got littles and now we can't do it. Yeah. They made it work, and their kids are all great, and they love the church. They love Jesus. And so I've got a couple of leaders, but then I have a significant number of my leaders that came on in 2019 and are still with me. And they're bought in. They do it. I was telling you earlier, I've got leaders now that are running major parts of our student ministry without me. They just check in with me.
You have built that, and you've also, let me say, earned that, because that's earning trust.
Yeah, absolutely.
From Pastor Drew, senior leadership, to earn that trust, where Drew could say, Dakota, you don't have to be everything, because he's learned to trust you. Faithful and small, then faithful and right. So you've earned the trust, but you've also equipped your leaders. That's incredible. I love hearing these stories, because it's like, I know there is, let me say, successful, there is impacting student ministries and next gen ministries out there. And I love, let me say, showcasing them, not to compare. That was what I wrote on the last, even had podcasts the last few times. It was not the comparison thing, no comparison trap should be in our lives, but to say, wow, I want to be encouraged that that is possible. So now let's take the pivot into the students. What have you been able to do? Like your prayer ministry you started. I think that's a great place to start.
Okay. Yeah, because there's primarily three areas in which I think that our student ministry is doing really well as it pertains to equipping the saints for the work of the ministry. And the first one, which is our student leadership team, was birthed and started out of a prayer ministry that was not my idea. And that's really important, because at times as a leader, you've got to be willing to do something that's not your idea, because it's where God's at work. If you see God at work, just join him there. Stop trying to figure it out yourself, because he's doing stuff all the time, all around. Henry Blackaby, and Experiencing God, a great study. And he talks about that all the time. Like, God is at work all the time, all around you. You've got to look, find it, and just join him. Don't try and do it yourself and figure it out. And we had a significant time in our country when some difficult things were happening. I felt a nudge from the Spirit to say, hey, let's just see if any students want to pray about this after a Wednesday night. So we had our Wednesday night, and I just threw it out on the table at the end of my talk and said, hey, we're going to dismiss. If anybody wants to just pray about what's going on right now in our world, just stay and we'll pray. And we had about 10 students do that. And what was funny is I had no intention of doing that again.
It was a one-off.
Yep. And then the next week, those students were like, hey, are we going to stay and pray again? And I looked at some of my team, and I just thought, well, that's interesting. And my assistant at the time said, hey, we need to lean into this.
Cool.
This is important. So it wasn't my idea. It wasn't even me that really noticed that it was a really good thing. It was the people around me that saw it and were aware. And what we did was we leaned into that, and we made that our student leadership team, which means that they get to speak into what we do, how we do it, events, camp, our weekend stuff like Elevate, what's going on now. We have that Grace Weekend for high schoolers in the fall.
So there are high schoolers right now serving, as I'm
Yeah,
doing
correct. I think we've
the
got
sessions.
10 or 12 high schoolers that are currently serving
I
at
thought we had
Elevate.
some older looking middle
They're
schoolers.
yeah, they're just we allow our juniors and seniors to serve back at
Oh,
Elevate.
that's awesome.
So
I love that.
and they love it because they've been there. They've done
Yes.
it and they
Yes.
know the impact of it. So it's really cool. But our student leadership team birthed out of that prayer time. We still do that prayer time. We've got like 20 kids pretty regular that stay every Wednesday night to pray. And our student leadership team, like I said, does a lot. They speak into a lot, and we are in the process of changing some of the ways we do that, which I think is going to help where we're going long term.
You're now, as you were telling me off the air, you are now offering this to anyone as you basically here's the requirements. Here's what you're going to be doing. Here's the bar. You raise the bar, and you say if you're interested, we'll talk. Application. You interview them, etc. Go with that.
Yeah. So originally, we wouldn't allow a ninth grader to be on the student leadership team. We wanted them to get a year of high school ministry under their belt before we started letting them speak into stuff. And what would happen is we would take nominations from their small group leaders or connect group leaders, family group, whatever you call it at your church. We call them connect groups. So their connect group leader would nominate a handful of students from their group to say, hey, I think they should be on the leadership team. And the problem with that we have found is that it kind of weasels them into a thing that they don't want to say no to because they know somebody they care about nominated them. And you always will have some students overlooked as a result of that, which we try to go in and find them and get them and make sure they don't get overlooked, but you can't get them all.
So you have some that potentially are nominated and they're just playing nice.
Correct.
So they're kind of going along with it, but not really sensing this is what.
Yep. And then what
right
happens
thing for them to do, but they say yes, but then they probably either burn out or could get disgruntled or
they just drop the ball and they just stop coming,
which then really hurts the team chemistry.
Correct. And then it seems like it doesn't matter. And then students go, oh, well, if it's not important enough for them to care, then I don't need to put that much effort into it. It's kind of like an athletic team.
Oh yeah.
You know, if a couple of your key players decide I'm not going to go to practice, guess what? Half the team is going to be like, oh, practice doesn't matter. You know, but if you've got those key people that are really locked in, it's contagious. And so what we're going to change to is that we are going to open it up to 9th through 12th grade because we're also going to be starting something in middle school that's a little lower level, but accessible to middle schoolers. And so they're prepared to come into this in high school, which I think is going to be incredible. And they are going to apply for it. We're going to throw it out there and they're going to apply, and the expectations will be very clear, and they will apply and be interviewed to become part of the student leadership team by some of our adult leaders, myself, and our team, basically. And what I think that's going to do is that's going to make it something that they choose and feel called to, so that because it is a win with students, it's always a win, not an if, when they drop the ball and when they get busy and distracted doing something else and they stop showing up, you get to have a discipleship conversation, not a discipline conversation. You get to talk to them about, hey,
I love how you said that. Say it again.
Yeah. So you get to have a discipleship conversation, not a discipline conversation. You're not going in to slap them on the hand and say, you didn't come to this, you agreed to this. You get to sit down and say, hey, are you okay? Because you chose to do this.
Right.
And you felt called to do this. We had that conversation and something is changed. So I want to check on you. And what I think is going to happen, because I've seen it happen in other places, is that's a reality check that we all need as believers. You were talking about it this morning with the students. There are times where it feels like a desert. And sometimes you need
the no fruit of the John 15, the no fruit.
Yeah.
That context, it is believers because we'll preach, but Jesus says to the 11, those of you, you're in me, they're saved, but they're not bearing fruit. Yeah, there's times we just kind of flatline.
And you need, and sometimes you need somebody else, your Paul or whatever, to come beside you and say, hey, you okay? You're a little off track here. Can I help you get back on? And that's when it's going to happen. So you're discipling them in growth versus just saying, hey, you did something wrong. Because then they're just going to be like, well, I'm not going to do it anyways. I'm good. So
this really was, again, birthed in the organically, right? Through the prayer, not even a ministry at that point, just this prayer gathering.
Yep.
And then the continuation of that. And then organically through the Spirit led into, we need to take this to another level, getting students part of taking responsibilities in ministry, thus your leadership team, not a contest, who's popular,
Right.
but truly who wants to serve and who wants to learn how to lead through serving. Now, you've also been doing, this is now the higher view. You've been doing various mission trips. And what I like about what you do, because I track, we'll text, plus also Facebook, whatever, but we're not just talking about, now don't get mad, listener, but just, I'm going to say it. Painting a building, I'm not going to equate as a mission trip.
You mean repainting a building that the previous
group
painted?
screwed up, but they had to get it done to check off the box and get the dopamine hit. That could be ministry, but I'm talking about mission is sharing the gospel.
Absolutely.
That is the mission, is to make disciples. Now, I'm a huge fan because you had my senior class in your air quotes doing your mission project through your mission trip in your project. You had to do where you verbally shared the gospel and then visibly shared the gospel through. Yeah, we want to do some activity, but training students to share the gospel. And that's what you do. So when we say mission trip, we're defining it. These students realize, I'm here to proclaim the news of Jesus, just like Jesus said, to preach it to the people. So go with me.
Well, and with that, that means that you student leader, whoever you might be, that means you got to do a little extra work. Okay.
Yes.
Because that means that at times you're not going to be able to just choose the mission organization that does it all for you.
But that's easy. That's the easy button. The big red button.
Yeah. And listen, I've done it before, and that's why I don't do it now, because I didn't see what I needed to see as a pastor, a shepherd who was looking at the students going, they didn't grow through that. They didn't share the gospel. They didn't do a mission trip. And I'm not
you were busy. You checked the box.
We were busy. And that's not saying that going and doing projects on a mission trip isn't something you can do.
Right.
So let me clarify that and give you kind of what our mission trips look like. So we've been to Mexico, we've been to Alaska, and now we are currently partnered in Newfoundland, Canada. And then I am right now developing a new partnership in London. Okay. So and that's intentional. I'm using that word partnership really clearly because in Mexico, we were partnered with an IMB missionary who was planting a church there. And then after COVID, which time that we should never speak of, after COVID, we had no options. And I had some friends who were out in Alaska, in Anchorage, and they said, hey, yeah, you can come and do a mission trip here. We have a church plant that we planted.
I remember this. I remember y'all going.
Yeah. And so I went out there for 2 years with students, and we did a lot of...
You went out there not for the entire 2 years.
Yeah, no. We went out there for a week at a time, 2 years in a row. And we did a lot of street evangelism. We did a lot of homeless evangelism. But with that, we also did homeless care. We did projects and stuff like that. And we actually did a soup kitchen, but it was all surrounded by opportunities to interact with people.
Yes, thank you.
Okay?
Yes.
And so when that kind of finished up and I had the opportunity to build an actual partnership, I got connected with Mile One Mission in Newfoundland, Canada. And it is Newfoundland, not Newfoundland. Okay, they will make fun of you if you say it wrong. So in Newfoundland, Canada, Mile One Mission, they're incredible. They're partnered through NAM, all of that. They are
North American Mission Board.
Correct. Okay. They are planting churches in a place that is 99% lost.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. And so they've currently have 3 churches and 2 in the works that they're planting. And they're neighborhood churches. They're small. They're doing their thing. But we go up there, and one of the projects that we did was the first year. This is the 3rd year we're sending a student team. One of the projects we did was we cleaned up a public elementary school space. And during that time, we got to interact with staff and kids and share the gospel. And we also do clothing drives where we set up all these things, and we do free clothing drives, and we get to interact while people are looking through the piles of clothes. And then at Munn University, we send students onto that campus, and they just walk up and cold talk to people about Jesus. We had a student... quick story. We had a student that walked up to a guy and said, "Hey, do you know the gospel?" And the guy was like, "No." He's like, "Do you want to?" And the guy said, "No," and turned around and walked away. And Bastion came back to me and said, "That didn't go well." I was like, "Well, try again." He walks up to another. He did this probably 15 times throughout the day. And he changed his tactic every time to try and get better and better. And then finally, at the end of the day, he walked up to a guy and the guy said, "Yeah, I'll hear about the gospel." And Bastion got to share the entire gospel. The 3 circles is what we use. But he shared the gospel with the guy. It was really cool. But they also, put on a worship event at the university.
Nice.
Where we had like 40 people show up that they invited and talked to. It's just, they are doing walking evangelism. And because of that, we have a very high standard as to who can go on a mission trip. And this is really important. I know you agree on this. A mission trip is not something you get to do. It's something that you apply to do. Okay? You get to go to camp. If you want to go to camp, you sign up and you come to camp. But if you sign up for a mission trip, which you can't, you have to apply for. We don't just do a public, "Hey, sign up for the mission trip." We say, "Hey, apply to the mission trip," because that tells you that you can be told no. Because if we have a student that applies and we look at their testimony and we look at what they've written on their application and we meet with them and it's just like, "Hey, you're just not ready for this."
Yeah.
That's okay. Be okay with that. Moms and dads are going to get upset with you. But again, discipleship moment. Because then you get to have a conversation with mom and dad and just say, "Hey, Susie's just not ready. Here's her testimony. Here's what she has said. This is what she's written down. Here's how she would share the gospel. It's just not there. And this is something we can work on. Let's build this up so that next year she can go." You know what I mean? And that's what we've actually done. I actually have a student going that got denied in the past, which is a really special thing. Very cool. So that's kind of how we operate with that, because we want them to actually be able to do this. We also do not give them any money. They have to raise every penny of what they have. Now, we equip them. We give them all the tools and all the stuff necessary for them to be able to raise the money to go on the trip, because it's about $1,600 to go to Newfoundland for a week. And they have to raise every dime of it. And we've never had a student not. They go to our adult connect groups and they go in and they give a presentation as to, "Hey, this is what we're doing. We would love your support, specifically in prayer. But if you can financially, that would be helpful." And then they have to go back to those connect groups afterwards and give a report as to what happened, stories that God, did cool things, all of that. It's been a really, really special thing. And what we've seen a number of students called to missions as a result that are actively doing it now. And we've seen a lot of students come out and just say, "Hey, I'm called to ministry and I'm going to figure that out." We've got a couple at Liberty right now. We've got a couple at Southeastern right now that in the last few years has come out of our ministry and said, "Hey, I want to actually do more of this."
Yeah, my whole thing was, in my day, was success was not defined in a 8 to 10 day window of the trip. True success was defined was, are they sharing their faith back in their school? Are they learning to become missional and just not go on a mission trip?
Well, funny you say that. One of our training elements to the mission trip is we actually take them either to the mall or to downtown Fredericksburg. It's their 4th training. So there's 4 Sundays that they do training for like 3 hours after church. And the 4th one, they go downtown or go to the mall and they have to do evangelism. What we've been teaching them to do, and we walk them through spiritual gifts, we walk them through leadership styles, we walk them through spiritual warfare, all kinds of things that they're learning and preparing for. And then we actually have them do it here, because if they won't do it here, they're not going to do it there. And if they're only going to do it there, then they're not doing something right.
Exactly. It's low risk, in my opinion. It's low risk for me to share my faith with someone that I'll never see again.
Correct.
It's high risk when I share my faith with my unsaved relative.
It's good.
Or in the adolescent culture, my teammate, my classmate, someone I work with at Chick-fil-A or whatever. That's high risk. All right, so let's go from those students who do the mission trip, go on the mission trip, and we always know there's that larger percentage that don't.
Mm.
What are you doing to help them learn and to facilitate a lifestyle of ministry, of work, of ministry? Is there other rhythms you've created to help them get involved at different places?
Yeah, so there's a couple things. One of them is the Elevate this weekend.
Okay.
They can serve back and be a part of the middle school ministry and serve as a connect group leader. Basically, they're partnered with an adult and they're doing that
Okay.
with an adult through the weekend.
Okay.
In addition to that, every fifth Sunday we have Fifth Sunday, and our high schoolers get to go back to the children's ministry and basically do a miniature VBS experience on a Sunday.
Hmm.
And that's mostly run by our high schoolers.
Okay.
So those are other just kind of small opportunities. But then we started a really long time ago. I had some students, a couple of guys that I was discipling, came up to me and said, "Hey, we want to lead a Bible study for other high school guys." Okay. If I got a couple of solid students that are saying, "I want to do this," great. Let's equip them. Let's give them the tools and let's let them run with it. And they did, and we're still doing those today. And those guys are married and living for Jesus, as adults now. And what they started is still going, which is really cool. And we have a girls' Bible study that is done as well now. And those are both student led. We do have an adult there to make sure, that they're not speaking heresy.
Sure.
And to help equip them and help them learn how do you lead a discussion, because they're learning that. Because guess what? Once they graduate, they're adults.
You're giving them the learner's permit before they have the driver's license.
Absolutely.
The adult sitting next to them driving the vehicle.
Yep.
That's my metaphor in that.
So. Yep. And so they're going through, and we give them the structure of what the study is like. We have done, we just did, we're currently with the guys they're doing a study on David. So they're walking through the life of David. They have done the book of James before. The girls are in Philippians right now. And what I hope you hear is that they're studying the Bible.
Yes.
We're not just giving them some surface level, here's a thing, talk about these same questions that you've heard a million times.
Talk about your feels.
They're actually studying the Bible and learning about it. And that when we equip the leaders, we give them understanding of how do you use a commentary? How do you actually break down that passage and extract what the author's intent was? Cool. We're teaching them how to do that. And what we have found is that those are the students that end up coming out going, I think God wants me to do this.
And what we're talking about too, and listener, understand this. There's in these 5 W's, there's always going to be overlap and interplay.
Correct.
That's a beautiful thing. They're not 5 silos.
Yep.
I said that back in episode 17, I talked about that. They're not 5 silos of ministry. They actually integrate well because you're doing the work of the ministry, teaching them to do the work of the ministry, but it's also integrated with the W of the word.
Yeah.
So anyway, hey, we're going to bring this to a close. So I want you to think of some encouragement, maybe something you've learned falling off the bike.
Yeah, I've done that a few times.
Or maybe doing things well, but something you've learned that you would love to share with someone who, let's take 2 different levels, if you will. Someone who is newer in ministry. You've been 10, 15 years in. Somebody who's newer in ministry that may feel like, well, bro, I'm not there yet. I can't do all that. What could I do now?
Yeah. So for that person, first of all, you don't have to do it all right now.
Good. Thank you for saying that.
That's huge because, when I was young in the ministry, you just feel like, one, you want to do it. I mean, you remember how I was when I first came into class. I was super cocky. I thought I knew everything because I was at a church for a year doing ministry when I had no real business doing it at the time. Right. But I came in thinking I knew everything and I just wanted to do all that. The classroom, I was like, what am I learning in here? I can just go out and do it. Right. And what I had to figure out was that, okay, pump the brakes. It's not all have to be done right now. And then when I got into it, I still felt the pressure of, oh man, these students have to learn all of this. This has to happen. Camp has to happen. This has to happen. Mission trips have to. Listen, if you don't do a mission trip for the first 2 years, that's okay. If you're first and foremost just working on establishing a core leadership team, and establishing what does it look like to disciple these kids. It's okay to say to your lead pastor and to have that conversation and say, hey, you know what? I think that if we try and jump into this and this right now, we can do it, but it's not going to be great.
Jesus didn't have the 12, 11 at that point, Matthew 28, Judas is out. He's dead at that point, honestly. But when Jesus commissions the 11 to go into all the world, then you think Acts 1 as well.
Yeah.
That came at the end of that 3-year process. Matthew 10, let's just go out more locally. And then those spheres of influence, those circles got bigger and bigger and bigger. In other words, he didn't throw them in the deep end first. Yep. He took them in the shallow end. And so to that younger leader, I may not be doing a trip overseas or even this or that, but what could you do?
Yeah.
Even as just an afternoon of serving this is my heart, serving the grandmas and grandpas in your church who rakes their leaves. They've been giving to your church, oh my goodness, for decades. The number one giving age group in any church typically are the ones that are on assisted living. The ones who are the least giving are the younger ones who typically complain the most, who are the customers. Yeah. And so what I'm saying is, I think of my own grandparents with the Lord now, but when they were shoveling snow in their 80s and even my grandma in her 90s, upstate New York, I'm thinking, who's helping her clean a garage?
Yeah.
Okay, dude. So you can do that. There are people in your church, Galatians 6:10. Let us do good to all, especially those of the household of faith. So just don't focus on what you can't do. That's the major leagues. Don't think of it like major leagues and minor leagues. Think of it like, what can we do now to get the momentum, get the ball rolling?
Well, and if I may, that's super practical, and I want to lean into the practical of that.
Yeah.
I would ask you, or have you built a relationship with the deacons in your church? Because typically the deacons are the ones that do those things.
Yeah.
And if you build a relationship with them, that's where you're going to get that. You're also going to gain some volunteers through that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then in addition to that, I would ask that younger, fresh in youth pastor, are you planning on staying? This is not a fast game. You have to expect that this is going to take time.
Play the long game.
And that's not a popular thing, because you're going to get an offer that looks better at some point. And I've been here for 7 years now, and I don't plan on going anywhere.
Praise God.
And you know what I'm seeing, and I heard this for years and years and years. You will see the most fruit in your ministry after 5 years. Not, and don't get me wrong, we saw a lot of fruit in those first 5. But now that we have so much established, and it took all this time to get it there, we're able to level up. We're able to actually do more, because now I have leaders that have been so established and equipped that they're running the mission trip and I'm not, which means I can go partner for another one. I have leaders that are running those guys and girls Bible studies, and I don't have to go to them every single week and sacrifice my wife and my kids. That's huge, which gives me longevity, which gives me the opportunity to go make influential decisions on other areas. It allows me to focus on teaching more, because I don't want that to be shallow. I don't feel the need to pull something manufactured, because I have the time to actually pray through and study and build the teaching, right? So I would tell you, be in it for the long game.
Okay.
And please don't use student ministry as a stepping stool.
Amen. So let's talk to your peers and older. Just on a brief thought here. What would you say to encourage them?
Right now, people in my circles that are my age and older, they're just tired.
That's what I hear.
That's what I hear.
That is what I keep hearing.
I'm like, hey, how are you doing? And I'm guilty of saying this. I'm good. I'm tired. I'm exhausted right now. It's busy. I'm good, but busy. Okay, so you're not good. Okay.
Yeah.
Harmony is the word that I tend to go to, because balance doesn't exist. Everything's going to always be out of balance at some point. There are seasons when you've got camp going on where the balance is going to shift. but then other
That's a good
times,
word. That's a very good word.
other times it's going to shift the other way, and you're going to have less going on. Lean into those times and find harmony of how these things work cohesively throughout your life. That's what's helped me and my wife the most is going, okay, hey, we know that we're coming up on a season where I'm traveling a bit.
Yeah.
Just had a conference, going to London next month. Those are times where I'm not going to be with Haley. So in between those trips, guess what we're doing? We're making sure that we have more time. And I would encourage you to know it is okay for you to look at your calendar and say, I have to, for my family, my first ministry, not put anything on the calendar in this time. That might mean that it goes somewhere else, or it might mean you don't do it, and that's okay. Because what you do is go, this is important. I want to do it, but I've got to build somebody up to do it because I can't.
Yeah.
Know your limits so that you can have harmony and not burn out and not sacrifice your family on the altar of ministry, because that is not going to work out.
Wow. Well, that's why I do every so often this sustainable cohort, to be honest. I'm not trying to do it just a shameless plug. It's the truth. Everyone who took that, you were in it. There was 3 or 4 different groups, 2 and 3 years ago. I did 4 different groups, literally to the person. And most of you were 10 years and up in ministry. And I kept hearing then, I'm tired. Some were like, honestly, now that I feel safe to talk, I'm ready to leave ministry. And good people, godly
number
leaders.
of people that I was in class with that aren't in ministry now.
Oh, it's shocking.
I'm over here going, there's only like 2 of us left. What happened?
I know.
You know?
I know.
It's scary.
So I would say to the leader that's been in the ministry a long time, your work is not in vain. Take a breath in. I mean this. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, look around you and say, and see it. God.
Yeah.
God is good. Look what he's doing. Have a gratitude, a heart of gratitude, and look around and go, God is doing these things. And I love your words, bro. I love that harmony versus balance. So, all right. Hey, thank you. Thanks for letting me hang out in your studio. I need to get one of these.
Yeah. Well,
Dakota,
thanks for letting me be a part of it.
All right.
Like I said, just again, we don't have it going on perfect and everything. We've got our struggles. We're learning. And I just hope that there's a little bit of something that you can pull from what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, I'm putting your email address in the show notes so they can reach out if they want to reach out to you.
Sounds great.
Appreciate that, because we all need resources. We all need connections. And that's why I say so much of what we do, relationally empowering ministry leaders to impact the next generation. Everything I do with Next Gen Matters, I want to be relational about it, but also make sure that you're feeling empowered.
Yeah.
So you helped me facilitate that today. Thank you, my friend.
Yeah.
God bless you, man. Take care.